Jeremy is a first-time call out of Miami, Florida. Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
You're on the air.
Uh, all right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I was calling. I heard the guy was talking about the problems that he had with his family
Yes.
and trying to get his kids. Well, I've had such a problem here also is that when my ex left me, she had me facing 20 years in prison with a lie.
Wow.
And then she ran off with the kids. I haven't seen my kids in almost 10, 11 years. You know,
What an evil
and
woman.
it's true. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's true what?
It's true that, you know, the wrong woman can actually, you know, kill a man. Well, not really a man in person, but his drive.
Yeah.
And I was also listening to you a minute ago talk to the guy about scriptures. And that's actually when our relationship started to deteriorate. I started to go back to the church and worship because there were so many different things on my mind.
Yeah.
And I used to be out there, you know, I was out there selling, you know, things that you shouldn't sell and doing all kinds of things to make money, which I never thought that was all that attracted her to me. But once I found God, I stopped that. Then I had problems in my house. And then I said, you know what? I think we should get married because I can't continue to live like this if we weren't married, you know? And I was trying to marry the one who had my kids and all. She turned totally against me. I found out that she was having sex with my customers, with the guy at the grocery store. I had got incarcerated, locked up one time, arrested, and she was supposed to come get me. She left me in there for 4 days.
Wow.
And I was wondering why. I was wondering why I didn't get out. And then I come to find out she went out with the officer that she met when she got there to try to get me out. So she left me in there for the weekend while she went out with him.
What?
You know? Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, man. Then next thing I know, I was one day, I get a phone call because I showed her the evidence because I went, one day she came knocking back at the door because I had the kids. You know, I had my kids like 4 or 5 days out the week. Sometimes she'll pick them up and sometimes she don't. I don't care because my kids were my life. And one day she came by and she came back knocking on the door real hard like the police. I'm like, when I let her back in, the kids were asleep. I said, what happened? And she's like, oh, I left my phone. That was real strange to me. So the next night, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. She came over that night, and I went, and the phone was locked. So I took the SIM card out, and I put it in my phone. And when I opened it up, the amount of dudes and things I saw, all my friends, everybody, the security guy, everybody, I just uploaded it, and I put it back. And I didn't say nothing. And then the next time we had an argument, I told her, look, it's over. I'm going to child court so that we could split our time up with the kids. And then my fault was I showed her my hand by showing her those pictures.
Yeah.
She told me if I didn't erase those pictures, she was going to F me up. And I was like, what? I said, whatever, go ahead. Next thing I know, I'm getting, a week or so later, I'm getting a call from detectives. He tells me it's in her case about her. I was like, okay, I'll come talk to you, whatever. But something in my mind heart triggered me. I said, let me call one of my customers. He's a lawyer. He said, well, give me the detective's name. So I said, all right, get it. By the time I got there, he had already called the detective. He called me back right as I got to the police station. He told me, Jeremy, they're going to arrest you. And I was like, for what? He was like, because she signed a written affidavit, sworn statement or whatever. So I was like, okay. But I had my kids with me. So I'm like, okay, dang, what do I do with my kids? What do I do with my kids? So I had to go to the daycare, pick my kids up out of daycare because she don't get off till 6. The daycare closed at 4. And I had to drop my kids with my other child's mother because I got 2 sets of kids. And that was a crazy thing. But I had to drop them there, then turn myself in.
What a mess.
Come to find out, she told them I had stole her phone. Okay, they charged me with grand theft of an occupied dwelling and like I robbed her and all this carrying on, and I had a lot of trouble in my past. I'm 50 now, but when I was 20 years old, I was stupid, running around crazy.
Yeah.
I had a lot of, I went in and out, but I come to find out that case, in Florida, we don't have the 3 strikes you're out. We have like a point system. And my points were already up there, and I never knew that. So what it turned into was now the state offered me 6 years, or we go to trial, and it's 20 years. I was like, man, I ain't taking 6, I ain't taking 5. I didn't do anything. So anyway, long story short, she ended up coming by my house, popping up in the windows, telling me, oh, she don't know what happened and this and that. So I'm on the phone with her sister, who is truly like 15 years older than her. She was like 60-something. And she tells me, don't mess with my sister. We know how you are, Jeremy. We know you love your kids and that, but she's a devil. Don't talk to her.
Yeah.
I said, okay. Yeah. I tried to play wise, better than her sister. So I put a tape recorder in my pocket. And when I went outside, she basically emptied herself in the tape recorder. But I couldn't use that in court because you have to let a person know that you're being recorded in order to use it in court. So she ended up trying to get back with me while I was still facing trial. She said she was going to sign a non-prosecution letter and all this, that, and the third. And then a month before trial, she took my kids and disappeared.
Wow.
And then, and the only thing saved me was I got my cell phone fixed at the time, because the whole time she was at my house, she was putting water on my cell phone at night while I was asleep so that it'd mess up. Then I went and got it fixed, and when I got it fixed, they saw the text messages from her while she was at the police station calling me, where she said basically I stole her phone. If I'm going to steal her phone, if she's on her phone at the same time where she said I was texting her. But the prosecution didn't want to give up after they saw all that information, and they still tried me. When I went to court, they said, look, you can either sign this for plea to this misdemeanor of a petty theft, because during the argument, I had broke her earpiece because it got caught in my shirt, and she claimed, I need to pay her for her earpiece. They said, you can either go and get the misdemeanor charge for this earpiece, or we'll go back in the courtroom and you'll see what happens for 20 years. I took the misdemeanor because I had kids. My daughter was ready to graduate. I didn't want to sit there and play with my life because, one, I'm an ex-con. They favor women in court.
Yeah.
I don't want to go in there, even though I was telling the truth, and mess around and get banned, and now I'm in jail for 20 years,
Amazing.
So I ended up getting out of all of that. But I'm still living through.
How many children you have with her?
2.
Wow. And you're still living through what?
I'm still living through all of this that she's actually done to me. I haven't seen my kids yet. It kind of hurt me when I went back to court, because when I went to court, everybody was on her side. Nobody believed anything I was going to say.
Yeah.
Just because I had a felony on my record, which none of the felonies I actually did. I just plead out to them because I didn't have enough money to actually afford a lawyer to fight anything.
Well, that wasn't
it was one I did.
That wasn't the only reason they didn't believe. They didn't believe me because you were a man, and the courts do not support men at all now. The woman can lie. She can do whatever she wants. And you're going court totally innocent, and they'll still take her side over you. Yeah.
And see, that's when I started really looking to the laws and different things. Because I even went down, because see, we had domestic problems before, to the extent that they gave me, the domestic violence people came to me and asked me if they wanted me to move and take my kids somewhere, because she was the aggressor.
Wow.
Okay? I played, us men, we like to be macho in those situations. But when it comes to your woman acting crazy, call the police, let them handle it. Because when it comes to you, she's going to go full throttle.
Yeah, that's what I
You see
tell
what I'm
men
saying?
now. Call the cop. The moment she go crazy on you, whether she hit you or talk crazy, call the cop. And let her
Yeah,
go to jail and don't bail her out or anything. Leave her there. And these laws that they were passed against men would now be
yeah,
applied to the woman if the men were to call or have them arrested.
exactly. Like in 2012, I think it was 2012, 2010. Obama brought out this Violence Against Women Act, and what that basically states is that you used to have a history of domestic violence before they act. But since the Violence Against Women Act came out, she has no history. Has to have no history. You could be living with your wife fine all day for 15, 20 years, and she wants to leave you.
Yeah.
She can call down there, say she's threatened by you. They will take her and your kids and move them away, and
Wow.
she get a divorce, and you end up paying through the nose and doing whatever with no evidence at all.
What a mess.
I didn't know all this.
Well, they definitely
And-
have, in our country today, they definitely have made it easy for women to be evil because women are more violent against men than men are against women.
Exactly.
It's the other way
But you
around, but
can't
they
tell
try to
anybody.
make it seem like it's the man.
Yeah. But
So let me ask,
I've really been. Go ahead.
are you angry at her?
For a long time, yes, I was so angry. I didn't sleep for a long time because you can imagine you have kids all over the house, jumping and screaming, and all of a sudden you go to silence.
Yeah.
And you come home and all the toys are there, their room is there full of everything they had, and you don't see them. And that would kill me when I came home every day. And the thing is, she didn't even care about my kids because she had two kids when I met her, and she didn't care about them. Okay, when I first met her, she didn't raise her first son, and then her second son, she always left at her sister's house because after dating her for a while, I'm like, "Where's your son?" Oh, he's at my sister's house. He's always at your sister's house. I'm like, okay, I didn't pick it up then.
Yeah.
But then when we first moved in together, the youngest son came with us, and I was like, "What about your oldest son?" He's like, "Nah, he was raised basically by my sister, so I let him stay with her." I was like, "That's your child. What do you mean your child gonna stay with your sister?" I don't understand that, right?
So why did you get involved? Why did you get involved with a woman with children and acting that way?
Well, at first I didn't get all of that, but
Jeremy, can you hold? Let me go quickly back to Jeremy. Jeremy, first time call out of Miami, talking about the situation he went through with his ex and his children, and it was a mess. It was evil. Jeremy, I asked just before the break, why did you get involved with that woman, knowing in advance she already had children and the way she was treating them?
Oh, well, in advance, I didn't know the part on how she was treating her children until we had, gotten basically involved. And that it happened because I wasn't thinking with my whole mind.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I listen to your show a lot, and what you say about the man and the woman is exactly true. I was talking to my mother last night, and it's funny how I got you on the phone. And I can't talk to my mom.
Yeah.
She's so irrational, and I'm used to speaking to my father because I was raised in a home with the father and the mother, and that's the one reason I got into so much. I can't get used to this. Your kids over here, that's something I didn't know. That's not my world. But I'm used to talking to my father, but my father he has Alzheimer's now, and he's in a home, so I can't talk to him. And last night I was on the phone with my mom, and I told my mom, I said, "Look, anytime we have any problems, because I can't talk to you about my problems, I said, you know what we do? We put them in a bag and we give them to God, because He said to throw our burdens on Him."
Yeah.
Because seeing how I can't talk to you and express myself about all the things going on with me, because I don't want my mom to get upset because she has cancer, and when she starts to worry, that brings back the cancer. So I can't tell anybody anything. And then funny, I came out the house, I pressed her number, and I was able to at least release some of the stuff built up in me.
Amazing.
You understand? So that worked out in my favor, and I just thought about that. But why I got involved with her, I gave her a chance because I figured, people change, but when we first got together, I really wasn't trying to be a Christian, if you understand what I mean. So that didn't come until after the first kid came, the second kid came,
Amazing.
I got a revelation and I wanted to start, back on my Christian path. And I said I couldn't do it with living with a woman and dealing things,
Yeah.
So I stopped that. That became a problem. And then I told her I wanted to get married, so we can do this right. And that's what stirred all the other stuff that came up to led up to what happened before. She basically was intending on burying me and leaving me in prison while she run off with the kids. And I come to find out later that her first child's father was in prison for 20-something years, and he never seen him. And then the second child, she also tried to do the same with the second child.
Wow.
I didn't know all of this until after the fact. Her sister told me. And, it's really sad how, this government is so bent one way.
Yeah.
If the laws are the laws, they're the laws for both people. It doesn't matter if this one's a woman, this one is a man. If you're going to be equal, it should be one law. It should be no special laws for them and the regular laws for us, because that's not equal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But that's where we ended up.
So let me ask, are you angry at her?
Am I angry at her? Not anymore. But I also started to appreciate that she did leave, because
Yeah.
I was that angry that she needed to be away from me.
And are you angry at yourself?
Angry at myself. That's where it ended. At first it was anger at her, then I turned to anger on myself. It was me that got myself in that situation by not listening to my parents and not following Bible principles. Okay? Find a wife, get married, then kids. She wasn't my wife. I went with her, had kids, and it didn't turn out to get married, and now this whole shebang. So it's really all my fault. I'm not going to be like Adam, and blame it on the woman, because you can't do that.
And so are you still angry at
your
yourself?
fault.
Are you still angry at yourself?
Yeah, kind of. I still am. A little angry. I still am angry with myself.
And why?
My fault.
And why?
I'm angry at myself because because I put innocent people, to suffer a life that they shouldn't have had a chance to because of a mistake I made.
You mean your children?
Okay, I mean my children. I think every day of what could be happening to my boys. Is somebody molesting them, or is anything happening to them? I have two girls also. And tell you, and I raised my first daughter. She was with me in the church. After that with her. And I raised my daughter. She was a 26-year-old virgin until she got married, and now she lives in Orlando. She has a nice husband and everything, and she's doing well for herself. I have a 16-year-old daughter that I'm doing the same with. Nice. I train my kids very good.
Let me ask,
basically how I trained up.
Let me ask this.
Thing is,
let me ask this.
We have to,
who is the self that you're angry at?
Who is the self?
You say you're angry at yourself. Who is the self? Describe the self that you're angry at.
Like I said, I'm angry for.
But who is the self that you're angry at?
Who is the self?
Yeah,
it's me. I'm the self.
And how are you the self?
It's my actions. My actions.
Did you make any of those decisions to get with this woman? Already had children. You kind of saw what she was doing with the children. You found out more later, but did you make any of those decisions?
Yeah, I made all of those decisions.
And how did you make them?
I just really didn't make a decision. I just went with the flow.
And who made the decision if it wasn't you making the decision?
Yeah, it was her. Basically, I was following the woman, and I wasn't,
And who made the decision in you to follow the woman?
I did.
And how did you make that
I don't
decision?
understand.
Jeremy, let me say this to you. I would encourage you to drop the anger toward yourself and her and anything, right? Anyone. Because the anger is what keeping you in darkness. Anger is evil, and anger will lead you right into more trouble. You'll repeat the same thing or even worse with another woman, right? Because it's not you that's making those decisions. It never has been you, and it never was you. You were limited due to anger. You were limited your imagination. And you've heard me say that all thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. Those thoughts were making those decisions, and it sounded like you, and it felt like it was you, but it was not. You were listening to evil and calling it you. It was never you.
You're correct on that.
And now you're angry because they have told you, the thoughts have told you, you did that. You made that decision. Now you're mad at yourself, but you're still worshiping evil when you do that. You need to see that it was never you at all. We, as human beings, cannot make decisions. We don't make decisions. We never have. We never will. We never ain't. All decisions in that fallen state come from evil, and when you forgive and overcome that fallen state, all decisions come from God. We are incapable of making decisions.
Wow.
And the way that you're going to overcome the fallen state, you got to forgive your mother for imposing her will on you and recreating her image, because that mindset is that of your mother. And her mindset is of the devil. It's not even her. It's the devil that's in her, because she has anger against her mother. And that's why you can't communicate with her, because her mindset, the mindset you have is her mindset. And she had been led by the devil thinking that it's her.
Wow.
You got to forgive your mother for turning you away from your father like that, and forgive your father for not protecting you from her. He couldn't help it, right?
Yeah.
And then God will forgive you, and He's going to change your mindset from darkness to light, which is His mindset. And from that point forward, everything will always be clear to you, because the light of God will be guiding you.
And that's funny. I've always heard you say that to other people, but now you're saying it to me. It feels, and everything you're saying is basically, just about true. And I started, after listening to your show, I started paying attention to the things my mom was telling me. And every time she gives me advice, if I follow it, it goes wrong. Like I didn't listen to myself. Okay, when she took my kids, I had the kids that evening, and I picked them up. And my oldest son, my little son, he goes, "Hey, mommy, don't have no furniture in the house. She took all the furniture." So I was like, well, maybe she's moving to another apartment or something. And I was thinking, I said, man, I'm gonna keep my kids until I figure this out, because she acting strange. I get on the phone, I talk to my mom. My mom goes, "Nah, Jeremy, go on, give those kids back to their mama. This and that." And I said, "Mom, something's not right." I gave the kids back. I never seen them again.
See that? Every time the man listens to the woman, he suffers. Every time.
Yeah.
That's what Adam did. Adam listened to the woman, and the woman became his God. He suffered for that. That's why a man is not supposed to listen to the woman, not even his mama.
You're right about that.
So you got to forgive your mama. Go to her and just say, you know what? Once you see it clearly for yourself, I've been resenting you. I realize now you can't help it. I'm sorry for resenting you. And then don't let the devil tell you, oh, don't apologize because she got cancer. Don't do that. Your mother got cancer because of her own hell. It had nothing to do with you, right? You forgive her without any expectation, and God will forgive you, and you would never have to tell a woman your problems again. And everything would change, but you gotta You got to, and that woman that took your kid, she's insane. She's evil. Based on what you said, she's evil. She can't help herself either. The devil has hold of her, and she hate men. She hate children, and she's going around the earth trying to destroy, because the devil is working through her, and she's going around trying to gather every soul she can to destroy them.
Yeah.
And so don't be angry at her, so you don't ever repeat that again, too.
Yeah. I really haven't had another girlfriend or woman of interest since then, because I've started to actually reclaim my faith, and I've taught, now I'm older, I'm saying, I don't put myself in those positions anymore. And I don't look to date, I look to marry. It's I just changed my whole thing of looking. So I really haven't been looking for anybody, because right now I can't support a woman, so I don't look for a woman.
Well, you're doing the right thing now. You're working on all this hell that you've gone through has brought you to the point where you finally say, you know what, let me work on me. Let me see what's going on with me. Why do I keep repeating the same thing? What is wrong here? Once you start questioning it and working on yourself, everything's going to change. And you're going to finally have the natural life that God created you to have. It's going to happen but you got to work on you, forgive your mother, and don't have any expectation. If she apologizes, fine. If she doesn't, fine. God will forgive you. And are you doing the silent prayer yet?
That's actually what I did last night.
Wow, amazing!
That's what I was telling you. That's what I was telling you about, basically. Yeah,
that's amazing.
I did that last night, and that was funny. I said I punched the number this morning, and I actually got through. I was like, I never called you before in my life. I just always listened to your show.
It was meant to be.
I was like, wow.
And what was your impression of the silent prayer?
It looked like it worked.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Well, so, I'm going to keep that up.
Yeah, stay with it. I've been doing it for 34 years now. Every morning, every night. I don't care how late it is or how early I have to get up. I stay with it, and it's amazing what you start to see and how you start to overcome the ego. The light of God will destroy the darkness of the devil, which is of the imagination, thoughts, and feelings. Yeah. All that stuff is just evil.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you're right.
So work on you, man, and you ever see anything, it's just going to get better and better and better for you. Amazing testimony, though. It's just mind-blowing what the woman can do to the man.
Yeah, and I thank you for being a listening ear, because that's something I hardly talk to anybody. Some people know my situation, but I don't get a chance to talk about it, and sometimes people need to talk about this situation, and not with these psychiatrist people. I mean, with somebody with some type of Bible intellect that will understand and see those things, because that's the only way you can actually know the truth is with those who actually indulge themselves in truth, and not just sitting around getting paid to listen to you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, and the way that you see where I'm coming from is that God in you is allowing you to see it. And in seeing it, he's changing from the abnormal to the norm. So he's with you, and his voice is the voiceless voice. It's the light he revealed to you. He doesn't talk to you in your head. He doesn't talk to you your emotions, those emotions. He talked to you by allowing you to see. That's the voiceless voice. When you can see what's going on inside of you, that is the voice of God. So you stay with the prayer, man. You're going to be fine.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate
it. And don't worry about your kids, because now that you're working on you, anything is possible. They can end up back with you, and that woman never, you don't want her back anyway, but they can end up with you. Yeah. But don't do it for that reason. You do it because you want to be right. You want to be on the right side of love, on the right side of life, and everything will work out for you.
Now, on that note, I'm sorry, I'm going to let this short, but on that note, with my children, basically, I wanted to teach them about God because that's also something that you have to do with your children. I did that with my two daughters, but I haven't been because I haven't been in contact with my two boys. Okay?
Well,
now, that's what I'm worried about is their salvation.
Well, don't worry about that. No, as the father is changing, the children will change. Don't worry about that. And now when you see them, you're going to be not only be able to speak to them in the right way about God, but you're going to be the light. You're going to be a living example, and they will see the Father in you, and that will draw them unto you.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Don't listen to the devil. Don't let the devil tell you, oh, you don't have them. You can't teach them about God. All thoughts are all lies all the time. Pay no attention to that, and you continue to work on you, and the light will do the rest.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, man.
Okay. Good day, man.
All
right.
Have a
good day.
All right. You too,
All
man.
right.
Bye now.